Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. As has been anticipated, Gary Griffith may throw his hat in Trinidad and Tobago's political ring. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 16th March 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's former police commissioner Gary Griffith has signalled his intention to throw his hat in the political ring following the Prime Minister's admission that it was he, Dr. Keith Rowley, who had a secret meeting with then Police Service Commission Chairman Bliss Sipasad at President's House. In an interview with I-95.5 FM on Monday, Griffith warned the Prime Minister that he will show him how to be Prime Minister. TV6's Renessa Cutting reports.
There have been many polls being conducted. You could throw a poll right now. 60% have told me I should try to become Prime Minister. 30% told me to reapply as Commissioner, and 10% told me go to hell. So I will continue to listen to what the country has, what the country wants, what the country demands. As it is at this time, I am seeing a massive demand by the country wherever I go, from persons even wearing the ketchup and the mustard colors. There's been a massive demand for a new change.
General elections 2025 could see former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith at the head of his own party, vying for governance of this country, according to not-so-subtle hints from the man himself. In an interview with sister station I-95.5 FM this morning, Griffith suggested that the real reason why the Prime Minister did not want him back as Police Commissioner was not because of how poorly he did the job, but rather how well.
When you have an individual with 89% national support and appeal, 2 times more than a Prime Minister, when you're getting whispers in your ears by a certain caucus in the PNM, Gary Griffith is becoming too popular, too successful, he's doing his job too well, he's going to be a threat to us politically. What you now need to do is to cut me from the ankles. So this was not just stopping me. If Keith Rowley wanted, he could have gone to Parliament and not have me reappointed. This was much more than that. They didn't just want me to leave. They wanted to destroy my character because of the fear that Gary Griffith becoming political can become a concern to the PNM. So there's a saying: be careful for what you ask for, you might get it.
So are you saying, Mr. Griffith, that the Prime Minister was, and this is for want of a better word, was jealous of your popularity?
Of course.
Griffith maintains that his decision to throw his hat into the political ring is not a personal vendetta. But he says he can't take the Diego Martin West seat.
Keith Rowley is speaking about how I interact with the public. I could go anywhere in this country, inclusive of PNM Heartland, in his constituency even, and get more national support than him. The man does not understand his job, but I will show him how to do a job as a Prime Minister.
He describes the Prime Minister's quote-unquote disappointment in him as hypocritical, adding that the Prime Minister should focus on what really matters, such as the reduction in crime across the board under his tenure.
Every crime being reduced by over 35%. It was the highest reduction in crime in decades. Criminologists, they were saying that it was due to COVID, but since I left, it has been the highest spike. So when I left, it was 350 per annum. Now it's over 600. He has shown no regard for stats, for data, for the public view. And that is why what is happening now, the bloodshed in this country, never seen before since 2007, he must be held personally responsible.
Griffith says, given the Prime Minister's public admission that he did interfere in the process for selection of a top cop, Dr. Rowley has charges to answer.
He went and tried to influence, intimidate, threaten, harass, or order. That is misbehavior in office.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has stated that Trinidad and Tobago's dollar is overvalued by around 20.4%. What does it mean, and how are business owners taking the news? Well, they are expressing some concern, but say the news is no surprise. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News has the story from Morning Edition.
A 20.4% overvaluation of the TT dollar, according to a statement by the IMF, is no shocker to the business community. So says chairperson of the Tobago division of the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Diane Haddad.
Even our own business community have presented such. I have sat and heard it in meetings where they're saying that is overinflated. It's the wrong formula that we are working with. And so eventually it will meet us in our faces. So I think now that the IMF has said it, maybe then it may have a different impact.
Chairman of the Confederation of Regional Business Chambers, Vivek Charan, is putting it in perspective in relation to the exchange rate with the United States dollar.
The actual number worked out by our local economists is 10-1, or very close to 10-1 when you look at that. And what they're saying is that at 10-1, the demand for US dollars will fall. The local demand, people will not be able to purchase as much as they did before. Therefore, there'll be more in supply. But the reality or the knock-on effect will be there will be an immediate rise in the cost of things.
Charan says it would inflate the cost of almost everything that is imported, and the pockets of the people would feel the pinch if the TT dollar is devalued. However, he believes it wouldn't be all negative.
No, in terms of competitiveness, if it is that we move to a higher rate, let's say 10-1, or we devalue to a higher rate, maybe that would have positive effects on tourism. Maybe that have positive effects on terms of people buying our goods on the market because it's now cheaper with respect to their currency.
However, Charan is worried, as he notes that the country is already battling a high rate of inflation, which, according to him, is anticipated to come in different waves this year. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Still on Trinidad and Tobago, that country's Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Ministry is seeking additional information about a potential freedom fighter, a Trinidadian national who intends to visit Ukraine and fight alongside its countrymen.
United National Congress activist and business development consultant Brian Stone said the decision to fight for the Ukrainians came from his heart. At a conference on Monday, Line Minister Dr. Amory Brown admitted he found the report disturbing as the act could put the country and its national reputation in jeopardy.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Barbadian High Court Judge Cicely Chase, QC, on Monday dismissed preliminary arguments of a constitutional motion filed by former Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite, QC.
Former Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite, QC, constitutional motion asking the court to quash a decision by President Dame Sandra Mason to reconvene Parliament on the grounds that only 18 out of 21 senators have been installed. Justice Chase deemed that Parliament with 18 senators is properly constituted, and therefore the business of the Senate is to be conducted. Attorney General Dale Marshall says the ruling paves the way for senators to get on with the country's business.
Assistant Lecturer of Public Policy and Political Leadership of the University of the West Indies, Damian Gordon, sees no relevance in the issuance of a $2,000 Jamaica banknote and including JLP's Edward Siaga in the pool of the country's national heroes and past PMs to be celebrated.
But certainly within the tenure of this current administration, an attempt to commemorate or recognize the contribution of Edward Siaga as an icon, as a pioneer of the country's development and progress. Because, there have been some questions about Edward Siaga historically. About his contribution to Jamaican politics. But the Jamaica Labour Party has made moves in recent time that suggest that they are keen about, recognizing the place of Edward Siaga as a builder and as an icon of the country's development.
In his presentation Tuesday, the finance minister also announced that former prime ministers Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley, who were founding fathers of independent Jamaica, will appear together on the upgraded $1,000 note. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Meantime, the question is asked, why didn't the government take into consideration other significant national figures? Finance Minister Nigel Clark said it wouldn't be that easy.
The process of getting someone on a banknote is quite lengthy. You have the permissions and so forth. And not everyone wants to necessarily be on a commercial thing like a banknote.
Speaking with Dion Jackson Miller, he also responded to questions about the omission of cultural icons like Bob Marley and Louise Bennett Coverley.
As much as possible, having that principle, and then the second principle is to have the leaders appearing in chronological order, subject to them being on a higher note than they were before, you end up with this arrangement.
Now, the only note which will have one picture is the $100 note, which will bear the face of national hero Marcus Garvey.
And still on Jamaica, important reactions are sought following the resignation of Robert Montague as a result of findings of the Integrity Commission into questionable granting of gun licenses by the Firearms Licensing Authority.
The National Integrity Action believes Mr. Montague made the right decision and insists no consideration should be given to him returning to the government in a position of authority. Anthony Lugg reports.
News of Mr. Montague's resignation came late Friday evening in a release from the office of the Prime Minister. Mr. Holness said he met with Mr. Montague, who tendered his resignation with immediate effect. An hour later, in a WhatsApp message received by our news center, Mr. Montague said there were personal matters he had to deal with and he needed time and space. He added that he has retained a law firm and is being guided. Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, Professor Trevor Monroe, says Mr. Montague made the right decision. However, he believes the resignation should have come months earlier when other allegations surfaced against Mr. Montague during his tenure as Transport and Mining Minister.
In respect of the Airports Authority of Jamaica, that investment was in breach of the relevant regulations and indeed in Cardinal Alumina Partners. So, unfortunately, the Minister's record does reinforce the correctness and the appropriateness of his resignation and his departure from executive authority.
Political commentator Shalman Scott says the Integrity Commission's report into the questionable granting of gun licenses by the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, has worsened the low level of trust in public officials.
All these people, in the interest of themselves and in the interest of the country, must do the right thing. And should not have to wait until when the Prime Minister have to call them in, or whoever is in charge of them have to call them in to tell them what they are to do. But we need to pay attention to the broader mood in the political mood in the country that is developing and watch it.
It's still not clear what role Mr. Montague will be asked to play in the days ahead as he holds the powerful position as JLP chairman. But the NIA says no consideration should be given to him returning to the government in a position of authority.
Either in the Parliament or in the Cabinet, as has been the case in this and previous administrations in the past, when ministers have resigned and later on put back into positions of authority. In this particular case, and generally as a rule, we would urge that this not occur.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.